This is Cast of Wonders, the young adult fiction podcast featuring stories of the fantastic. Welcome. Episode 552. I'm Catherine Inskip, your editor and host. Our story for today is The Breaks by Scott King, which was originally published in Constellation magazine in January 2021. Scott King was born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Ocean City, Maryland. King received his undergraduate degree in film from Towson University and his MFA in film from American University. For years, King worked as college professor, teaching photography, digital arts, and writing-related classes. He now works full-time as an author. He is disabled and non-binary. King's non-fiction books are a way for him to get back that feeling of teaching a class, while his fiction books are his way of having fun. Find out more about King at www.scottking.info or follow him on TikTok at @KingScottKing or Twitter at @ScottKing. This story is narrated by Alicia Atkins. Alicia Atkins, pronoun she/he, hails from a small town in Alabama. He grew up listening to and playing music and participating in community theatre. She's been the voice of KP on The Beacon, Director Rhoda on Copperheart, a narrator for the creepy podcast Trina on Moonbase Theatre Out, and a co-host on the Red Light Library. He also has a Let's Play YouTube channel. There are some content warnings for this story. It contains some scenes of suicidal ideation and mentions of past self-harm and suicidal behaviour. And now, we've a tale to tell.
The Breaks. Written by Scott King and narrated by Alicia Atkins. When the clerk at the convenience store takes my 20 for the frozen mac and cheese and the cheap wine, I barely notice the fractal patterns of cracks running across his face. They are unique, yet generic, like a one-of-a-kind snowflake in a field of snow. Special, but not. When I was young, I tried to decipher the meaning of the breaks. My mother had one that ran from below her right eye, across her nose, and then curled around beneath her cheek. It was geometrical, made from dozens of rectangles overlaid, making her look like a digital android or some sort of science fiction space traveler. For years I prodded, trying to figure out what in her past could have caused such a break, but I was never able to determine anything. I suppose that is the nature of being human. We all are broken, and sometimes we don't even know why. The clerk wishes me good night. He's a nice guy, whose name I can never remember, but I do know he has a daughter that recently got into Yale. His deep brown eyes seem sad tonight. No, not his eyes. It's the skin around them. There are new breaks that have appeared since I last saw him. They are minuscule, V-shaped, as if a tiny songbird had danced around his face, leaving footprints. One could infer that maybe the financial stress of his daughter going to an Ivy League school is causing him to break. But it's too much of a leap without knowing more. Maybe his dog died. Maybe he lied to his husband about something important. Maybe he lied about something small. Maybe he overly invested in the current football season and his team is losing, pushing him over the edge. Maybe his all-time favorite TV show was just canceled. That is the problem with trying to identify breaks. You can't know the inner workings of another person, and any guesses you make are just that. Guesses. "Your change!" He calls to me, but I'm already heading out the door. "Keep it for your daughter's college fund." "Thanks." He does an awkward, self-deprecating laugh. "I'll need it." The smell of the city hits me, but it is nothing compared to the humidity. It is one of those summer nights where the air is so thick, you drink it more than breathe it. It is the kind of night when you hope cheap wine will help you sleep because your AC is down and your landlord is too stingy to fix it. Across the street is a bus stop, the one I take to work in the mornings. Seated inside is a person who's maybe in their mid-30s. The lighting is dim, but I see an almost sparkle on their face. Some brakes do that, reflect or glisten in the right light. But what is most strange is that this person's brake forms a shape. A glittering feather is stamped across their right eye, stretching from their brow to cheek. It's like no brake I've ever seen. Everyone is broken. Usually it happens by age 5. But even if it hasn't, I've never met anyone over the age of 10 who wasn't broken in some way. Sometimes there are breaks on breaks. Sometimes their face is unmarked, and the breaks show on their arms, legs, chest, or back. Never have I seen a break that looked like something. Considering the thousands of people I must pass on the streets on a yearly basis, or those I've seen on TV or in videos, you'd think sometime before now I would have seen someone with a break resembling a recognizable shape. But I haven't. Until now. Does it mean something? Or is it pure chance, like a cloud that just happens to look like Abraham Lincoln? Certainly, with the number of humans alive, it would make sense that someone somewhere had a break that was shaped to look like something, but damn, I need to get a better look. But the bus comes before I cross the street, and the person is gone. I convince myself I must have just mistaken the feather shape. I indulge myself by going home and drinking half a bottle of wine, while managing to finish a whole carton of frozen mac and cheese. I have no regrets. I even managed to sleep, though the air in my small apartment feels like it's made from puppy drool. In the morning, I wake tangled in sheets, sweating. Although I hate cold showers, I take one, just to have some relief from the heat. As I dry myself off with the towel, I see my reflection in the door of the shower. It's the closest thing I have to a mirror. Usually, I'm good at avoiding my reflection, but sometimes I slip. It is easy to accept in your mind that everyone is broken, but it is hard seeing your own breaks reflected back at you. They are ugly reminders of the worst moments of my life, and unlike with others, I know what caused each one. The twisted braid down my left arm, my mother's death. The impact craters on my right cheek, when I was downsized from my job. The splitting across my right cheek, the first time I was cheated on. The circular scratch across my chest, the one time I cheated. The spider webbing on my legs, the day I almost tried to kill myself. The slashes under the webbing, the day I got divorced. The fractures under my chin. The first time I was ever told to go home to my own country. The stress lines around my waist, from when I realized I could never get rid of my ability to see breaks. The list goes on. Standing naked in the foggy reflection of the shower door, I wonder what if each of the breaks weren't breaks, but were instead things I could choose. Like a feather. I need to find the person from the bus stop. It takes 7 weeks, but I finally see the person again. Before I see them, though, I develop a new break. This one is a bracelet circling my left wrist. It is chunky, like cracks in a painted cinder block wall. It's from an awful evening when I dropped my goddamn brick-fired pizza while walking back from the restaurant, and spent the night crying because I never thought I would find the feathered person again. After a lifetime of living with the breaks, without understanding them, I feared I had missed my only chance to get my answers. Now here I am, not a fortnight later, and they walk onto the very bus I'm riding, heading downtown. I'm supposed to be going to work, but the moment the person sits, I know I'm not. Their break doesn't just lightly resemble a feather. It is a feather. I don't know enough about feathers to know what kind it is, but it is long, like a quill. The shaft flows parallel to their nose, and the barbs drape outward, blanketing their eye. The break is beautiful. The real issue is now that I found the feathered person, what am I supposed to do? I can't just walk up to them and say, "Hey, How'd you get that feather-shaped break on your face that is apparently invisible to everyone but me? I know from experience how pervy someone approaching you on public transportation can be. I don't want to scare them, and I don't want to wait till they get off and follow them. Of course, knowing me, that would be my luck. I finally find the feathered person, and before I could build up the courage to say something, they would leave. Then I'd have a second round of crying over dropped pizza and the mystery of their brakes. Do you mind if I sit? The feathered person is leaning in close, pointing to the empty seat beside me. I can't find the words to speak, so I answer by lifting my messenger bag, with my work laptop onto my lap, freeing the seat beside me. What's your name? They ask. Jay. She, her. Thanks, Jay. I'm Avery. She, her. She points to my left wrist. I like your bracelet. For a split second, I think she must mean my newest break. But when I look for myself, I see the silver armband I've been using to cover the break so that I don't have to look at it. It was my mother's. I pull it off and flip it to show the engraving on the underside. It's the date she and my father first met. He gave it to her on their 5th anniversary. I don't tell Avery that this was the last gift my father gave to my mother before he was killed in a car accident. I was only 4 at the time, and I don't remember him. Mom wore the bracelet every day of her life until she died. I usually avoided wearing it for fear of losing it, but it was the only bracelet I had wide enough to cover my newest break. That's so sweet, Avery says. I think the only thing my father has ever given my mother is a migraine. She laughs and I follow suit because I don't know what to say, and laughing feels like the socially appropriate response. The conversation goes quiet, and I feel the pressure like it's my turn to say something. I need to do something. I need to understand this woman, but I can't find the words. Instead, I point to her purse. It's woven out of seatbelt fabric and covered in pins. There is a corgi butt, a cheeseburger, a whole roll of polyhedral dice, a big rainbow, and some cartoon characters I don't recognize. I like the pins, I say. Do you really? Yes. She twirls the purse, revealing even more pins that were hidden on the backside. They're all mine. Oh, my voice catches. I wasn't saying they weren't yours, just... She laughs. No, I mean that I make them. Like, physically make them? No. She opens her purse. It is pure chaos inside. She shifts things around and pulls out a card. It is white, but the letters spelling the company's name, Get Pinned, are made from pins of individual letters. I do the graphic design, order them from a printing company, and sell them. Sometimes people hire me to make custom ones. It's not enough to quit the day job, but for a side hustle, it's not bad. What's the day job? Something horrible? Avery pulls back the right sleeve of her hoodie. Along her wrist is a feather tattoo that looks identical to the break across her face. I'm a tattoo artist. I designed this and had a friend do it. I have so many questions, but don't know how to ask them without sounding unhinged, so I simply smile. It's beautiful. I don't know about that. Her nose wrinkles. This was an early one. I can do better now. The bus stops. Crap. Avery stands. This is me. She leaves, and I'm left holding her business card. So confused about everything. I get to work late, since I didn't get off at my stop while I'd been talking to Avery. My boss is in a meeting with marketing and doesn't even realize I'm late. He is one of the few people I know who have the majority of their breaks concentrated on the top of their head. When he gets his hair cut short, I can see the breaks on his scalp. They twinkle like frozen mountains on a broken moonscape. Across the conference table from my boss is someone I don't recognize. Their breaks completely cover their face, as if their whole head is made out of marble. cracks cover every inch, so that they resemble an outer space creature. As far as I know, breaks that extensive usually suggest the person has been through something utterly horrible, or is going through something horrible. The person turns, and when I see their profile, I realize who it is. It's Devin, the marketing copy guy. But I saw Devin just yesterday, and his breaks look nothing like that. Breaks can happen whenever and in whatever amounts. But if something so severe happened overnight, Devin must be going through something fierce. Something so bad it literally broke him. I can see the conference room door from my desk, so I head into my office and keep my blinds up, so that I will know when the marketing meeting has ended. I don't know what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say, just that I have to try and talk to Devin. I know if I don't talk to him and something bad happens, I will develop new breaks. But how does one approach a person who is in the middle of breaking? You would think that I would be better at this, but I'm not. I can barely talk about my own breaks. Talking to someone about theirs isn't something I know how to do. Did you get the project reports finished? Jan, the only other woman who works in my department, pops in, leaning halfway through my open office door. I gotta send it up to Hank. Yeah. I shake my mouse to wake my computer. It should be in the shared folder unless my laptop didn't sync. Can you check? Sure. I open our department server and check the shared folder. The work I stayed up late last night to turn in is there. It's here. Jan leans across my desk, putting her face way too close to my screen. Her nose scrunches and her mouth hangs open. Huh. Didn't see it before. It's there. I bite my lip to keep from saying anything else. Yeah, thanks, Jan says. My laptop must not be synced with the server. I roll my eyes as she walks back to the door. The second she is gone, I check the conference room and swear. The marketing meeting is over, and Devin is nowhere in sight. I can't imagine a break that covers one's entire face and looks as layered as Devin's wouldn't be serious. The breaks were so bad I hadn't recognized him. They had hidden the underlying shape and features of his face. Something like that is bad. Like, kill yourself or someone else bad. I checked Devin's cubicle in the marketing department. He's not there. He's not in the break room. I suppose he could be in the bathroom, but that doesn't feel right. Devin left, and there are only 2 reasons for that. Fearing the worst, I rush to the elevator and take it to the top floor of the building. There is a patio garden there. We are supposed to be able to use it for meditation time, but I don't know anyone who's ever used it for that. Most use it to eat their lunch on nice days or to secretly smoke. The elevator opens and I exit onto the patio. There are some worn stone benches around a small flower garden that clearly needs to be watered. Past that is Devin, leaning against the roof's railing, looking down at the street 19 floors below us. He turns, maybe at the sound of the door opening, and gives me a nod. That's probably a good sign. Hank send you to find me? Devin asks. I shake my head. No? Does Hank need you for something? He wants me to completely redo 3 weeks of work in like 2 days. I cross the patio garden and rest my hands on the railing. The wall is chest height for me, and the railing nearly chin level. I could clear it, but it would take work, which meant Devin could do the same, since he is taller. You going to be okay? Why? I don't know, I say. Just sort of feel like something is going on. Not that you need to share or tell me anything, but if you want to, I can listen. Can we just, stand here? Yeah, we can stand here. So we stand there, not talking. It feels like a long silence, but I can't tell if it really is. Time feels different when you're standing on a roof next to someone who might jump. My fiancé is leaving me, he says, as if this whole time he's been trying to build up the courage to speak it out loud. That sucks. I deserve it. He looks down. Well, maybe I don't, but I didn't do anything to stop it. I didn't make the time. I chose the wrong things to prioritize. I had too many irons in the fire, and not enough hands to handle them. I should have been better. I've been there. I feel like I live there. I think everyone has been there. The feeling that there's no climbing out of this hole. Your life is perfect. You're always so happy. I laugh. I don't mean for it to be such a condescending laugh, but it is. You're freaking joking, right? No, I'm serious. My life is a mess. When I got divorced, I thought it was the end of the world. You were married? He gives me a confused look. You've never talked about an ex-husband. Probably because I didn't have one. Then how could you have been married? I pinch my nose and sigh. This is what it was like working with Devin. I'm a lesbian, Devin. I had a wife. Oh. He looks around as if in trouble. You aren't gonna tell HR, are you? That's not how that even... I shake my head. No. Never mind. The issue is... life is shit. Utter shit. It will eat you, digest you, shit you out, and then eat you again. That is what it means to be alive. That is what it means to be human. You aren't making me feel better. I'm just saying, Devin, it's not you. Everyone is broken. The world is shit. The situation you are in is shit. Maybe it's your fault. Maybe it's not. Doesn't matter who it is to blame. It is still shit either way. I'm sure it doesn't feel like you will ever see the other side of it. It's okay to feel broken. It's okay to feel shattered. It's okay to admit you aren't strong enough. It's okay. All of it. It's not you, it's just life. And sometimes life sucks. He puts a hand on my arm. Are you okay? I laugh again, because I had come up here to try and make sure he was all right, and here he is comforting me. I'll be fine, I say, knowing it's true. Just, things sometimes suck, and at least right now, in this moment, I'm not in the hole. I guess I'm just scared of falling in again. I wish I was where you are. I don't know if I can ever be where you are again. You will be. And if you need to vent or cry or anything, you can reach out to me. Thank you. He turns his back to the wall and railing. I probably need to start the redesign for Hank. Good luck. Thanks. He leaves and I stay. For a split second, I think not about jumping, but thinking about jumping. Then the guilt sinks in, and I have to remind myself the very words I had just said to Devin. I feel silly for thinking he was up here to do harm. Seems more like he just wanted space. I guess I had read his brakes wrong. That's the thing about brakes. You can see the damage, but it is impossible to guess what caused it, or what it might cause a person to do. Sirens sound from several blocks away. A moment later, I see an ambulance speeding through traffic. I can't help but wonder if the person riding in the ambulance might be braking. Or maybe they're dying, and those trying to help them are braking. No matter what, there would be brakes. Someone, somewhere, would be braking. It is simply part of being alive. Living meant brakes. Maybe I need to try living more and worrying less about my own brakes. According to the business card Avery gave me, her tattoo shop is less than 10 blocks from my work. I ditch my afternoon meeting and head there. A bell rings as I enter. The shop is empty except for Avery, who sits in a tattoo chair, drawing on a sketch pad. She looks at me and smiles. Stalking me, Jay? My cheeks feel warm. I hope the blushing is invisible. Joking. Avery throws her pad onto a nearby counter. And since you don't seem like the tattoo type, my guess is you're here for another reason? No. I lie. I'm so into tats. I'm like the extra of tats, and I want to get like sleeves of tats tatted and stuff. I was going to suggest we get food, but if you're just here for a tattoo... Avery stands and motions to the tattoo chair. I'm happy to... No. Food is good. Again, Avery smiles. We walk a block in silence. It's not an awkward silence, like the one I had with Devin on the roof. It's comforting, as if we both know that neither of us has to say anything. She takes me to a taco shop where we order street tacos from a counter. I have never had a street taco, so when it is my chance to order, I go with the daily special. Barbacoa with avocado, cotija cheese, cilantro, and drizzled with a jalapeno lime sauce. They give us a number and we sit at a table. Be honest, Avery says. Have you ever even thought about getting a tattoo? Of course I had thought about it, and the idea scared the hell out of me. I know, better than anyone, what it was like to have visible marks on your body that you can't remove. I hate my breaks. They're ugly and embarrassing. Adding more permanent marks to my body just seems terrifying. Yes, maybe. I don't know. I drop my gaze to the homemade tortilla chips. How did you know when you wanted to get your first tattoo? I'm not religious. I just want to make that clear up front. She says. But I do believe that there are things we don't know. Things science can't yet prove. Maybe there are spirits or ghosts or angels or... I don't know. Maybe even magic exists. I nod in agreement, knowing for a fact that there are unexplained things. She must think I'm mocking her, because now it is her turn to stare at the tortilla chips. I'm just saying, we don't know what is out there. I know, I say. Our gazes meet, and I smile, trying to show her that I'm not judging her. Avery opens her mouth to speak, but before she does, a server arrives, delivering us 2 trays filled with tacos. They smell like heaven. Avery takes a big bite of her first taco. It crunches, and a bit of sauce dribbles down her chin. She wipes it away with the back of her hand. No one has all the answers. There's just too much out there that we don't know, Avery says. But sometimes, we're lucky enough to make sense of the unknown. Not too long ago, I was in a bad way. Living in my car, no one to turn to. Then one night there was this... I know it sounds silly, but there was a feather. Looked magical, like off a dragon or phoenix or something. It was just lying there on the ground among old gum and cigarette butts. Just picture that for a moment. This beautiful thing surrounded by ugliness. And what I found shocking was the ugly didn't take away from the beauty. Avery leans across the table and rolls up her shirt sleeve, once more showing the feather tattoo. Every line, every curve, matches identically to the feather-shaped breaks on her face. Beautiful, I say, hoping she thinks I'm only talking about the tattoo. I got this tattoo because it's a reminder of who I was in that moment. It represents hope. It says that no matter how bad things get, you can't let those things steal your shine. That's... Why do I always fail to find words when I want them? I want to tell her that I understand. That it seems like she treats the tattoos not as permanent marks on her body, but as a roadmap. They tell not just a story, but her story. It doesn't matter if, in 20 years, a tattoo she had gotten now seems frivolous, because that tattoo is still a part of her journey. Pathetic? No, I was going to say beautiful, but I'd said that before and didn't want to say it again. Her dangerous smile flashes at me. Say it again. Beautiful. She kisses me. It's wet, messy, and the spicy juice from her taco makes my lips tingle. We pull away, and I know this time she can clearly see me blushing. Look, not saying all my tattoos are deep and meaningful, she says. Some are for pointless shit, but that's okay too. I don't need a reason to have them, other than that I wanted them. Avery takes another bite of her taco, and I realize I need to take a bite of mine, or I will look weird for not eating it. It's just hard to focus and think. Too many questions run through my mind. Not to mention, I really want to kiss Avery again. Did the feather-shaped break come before, after, or exactly when Avery got the tattoo? Had the break been something else, and she reshaped it? I long to be able to talk about what I see with someone else, but I've made that mistake once before, and I don't think I'm strong enough to try it again. I don't want any new breaks because of it. But I suppose breaks mean I'm alive. Maybe it's okay if I have new ones. They aren't something to be ashamed of. They're just a roadmap of my life. 6 months later, Avery and I move in together. Our leases expire a month apart, and it sort of just happens. Things aren't perfect between us, but they're good. Healthy. Before we take the leap, I tell Avery about the breaks. She cries, upset that I'd been dealing with the breaks alone for so long. Her crying makes me cry. It's a big old cry fest that ends in hugs, kisses, and macaroni and cheese. The biggest change that comes from living with Avery is that she hangs mirrors in our new loft apartment. I spent my whole life avoiding my reflection, but now I've grown to like it. My breaks are still there, but with them is a new tattoo. It is around my right wrist and designed to look like a braided bracelet. On one side it is solid, but on the bottom it is frayed, as if it's about to fall apart. And yet, a single strand still holds it together. Along my waist, where my breaks had once been stress lines, the breaks have reformed to match the tattoo on my wrist. Maybe it was Avery's magic, or some sort of healing on my own, or something else. I still haven't figured it out, but I like it. I may be broken, but my breaks are mine. They aren't a sign of weakness. They are beautiful.
This is a very resonant story for me. I continue to struggle with my own mental health and know more than a little about unhealthy coping mechanisms and the insidiousness of self-hate and despair. Over the years, I've learned how to keep that darkness, well, not under control, but certainly contained, acknowledged, and balanced by the people I love and, I don't know, perhaps just my optimistic delight at the beauty and absurdity of the world. I can't make it go away or stop the bad days from hurting, but I've found ways to match it with brightness and wonder. Like this story shows, there's always a way through. Always people ready to take your hand and share your burdens. Stories like this one offer precious catharsis and a very important reminder. All of us deserve to be loved. Join us again soon. We love bringing you the best audio fiction week after week, but we can't do it without your support. Your donations pay our authors, our narrators, our servers and our staff. Please consider supporting us with a monthly donation through either PayPal or Patreon. You can also review us on Apple Podcasts, request us on Spotify, and consider the stories we publish for award consideration. There are lots of ways you can help. Join the discussion on the EA Forum, forum.escapeartist.net, or EA Discord. Visit on Twitter at Cast of Wonders. Come say hello. Cast of Wonders is brought to you by editor Catherine Inskip, assistant editors Cuppa Cobb and Alicia Caparaso, associate editors Tanya Adelit, Amy Brennan, Joyce Hernandez, Somtoa Haseway, Amanda Kong, Ray O, Simon Pan, Samuel Poots, Emma Smales, Denise Sudell and Rin Yi. Our editorial assistant is Amy Brennan, our community manager is Denise Sudell and our audio producer is Jeremy Carter. Cast of Wonders is part of the Escape Artists Foundation, a 501c3 non-profit, and this episode is distributed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. That means you can download or listen to the episode on any device you like, but you can't change it or sell it. Our theme music is Appeal to Heavens by Alexei Nov, available from Promo DJ or his Facebook page. Thank you for listening.